It is literally for exclusive purposes for the Federal Internal Revenue Service, to recognize you as an employer, because, they expect that you will employ individuals because you are a business owner. Even you can be an employer, like an employee. I'm an employee of my corporation, all right? And then for the exclusive purpose of federal tax returns. Don't let anybody tell you different. That's what it's for, okay? That's the why, so we've answered that. Can I use it to substitute for my Social Security number? Okay, we're going to move on. All right. Can I change it? And why would I change it? All right. Yes, you can change it, but let me be more specific, because you're not really changing it. What you would do is you would apply for a separate EIN. And that normally would occur when maybe you change the type of business. Maybe you go from shareholder to C Corp, which was my case. And in doing so, you file a final return on your S Corp, which is an 1120S, and then you file your new return under the new EIN on your returns going forward on typically the 1120 form. All right, so that would be a case that would be relevant to this. If I go out of business, do I cancel it? No, there is no cancellation of an EIN. You actually just give notification to the IRS that you can do this in a separate letter. I normally do it in a separate letter because I like to make sure that there is no question that, and exercise an overabundance of due diligence, that there is no issue as to what I intended to communicate to that governing body. So I would file a final return. The final return actually is what moves the IRS to cancel that EIN. So it's canceled then, okay? Quote unquote, all right? And what happens is that number never goes away. It just lies dormant, if you will. All right. But then you can write to entity control, and I think they call them a different name now, but it's an entity department in the IRS, an entity being relative to business, your business entity. And you let them know, I no longer intend to use this EIN. Done. That's it. Can I use it to build business credit? No, we just went over that. That's a myth. There are numbers that are issued to you by Dun & Bradstreet, remember, 4-time, and this is, and they still do it. But again, you can walk circumspectively and be mindful and go through that process and allow them to, try to build credit through them. But I don't think it's a viable option. Looks like Experian is doing a wonderful job in taking over where Dun & Bradstreet has failed miserably, and they both issue a 9-digit number. It has a 2-digit initially, dash, and then the following 7. Just because all of these Social Security number, EIN, Dun & Bradstreet, Experian numbers have 9 digits doesn't mean that you should substitute it. You know what that's called? It's called tax fraud. Leave it alone, because what you're doing is creating an actual trail for them to watch you over time. And some of you know that I'm a former federal ranger, and some of us know from movies, and maybe some of y'all know from personal experience, that the federal government doesn't like to just bring you into court over one thing. They want to make sure they have enough evidence that when we go into court, hey, that's it. It is resolved. We already know we have a case. That's it. We're done. You're guilty. So you need to leave that alone. Don't go that route at all. All right. And this is what I was talking about. Sometimes it goes over because we have to get all that information in. And it's very, very relevant that I make sure you get all this concentrated information, but it still goes by fast. So I'm thinking maybe since it's 9:36, then we can wrap up by 9:40. Let's see what we got. All right. All right. Let's move forward. Fictitious names. What is that? You can presume. We know fiction is not real. Fictitious entity name is relevant to your business name. Even though your business is quote unquote real, it is not a real person. So that's why it's called fictitious names. All right. Business registration and research. IRS is a viable way to determine whether or not a name exists. But the first thing you want to do is very commonsensical things, or you can Google it initially, okay? That is a viable way to find out whether or not a business name exists, all right? Then the next thing you want to do is go to your respective state secretary of state. Okay. So for instance, in the state of North Carolina, you go to the North Carolina Secretary of State, and they have an option right there on there. Normally on each Secretary of State's homepage, they have an option for you to do a business search. Okay. Use that business search can be used to research whether a name is available. So you put in the name that you want. If it doesn't come up, magic. It 9 times out of 10, it is available. All right. Then the finite way that you're going to really find out is once you apply for your EIN through the IRS. When you do so and you put in that name and it comes back and it brings up any forms of errors or it says that you must call, 9 times out of 10, that means that that name is not available. All right. Okay. Register of Deeds, Certificate of Assumed Name Use. All right. This is where I wanted to show you. I don't know. And tell me if the sound goes out, because we had that problem from before. I'm not sure. Let's see. Hold on. Let's see. Because I'm going to show you mine. And as I am looking for it, let me just tell you that the assumed name is much like a trademark. So you would want to register your trademark formally with the United States Copyright Office. That's very important because that's where it's completely official and legitimate. But another step in taking that action to secure your intellectual property is, I think I found it. There we go. And let me know if my sound went out. I hope it didn't. Okay. This is an actual certificate of assumed name for use for Guilford County, where, of course, some of you are aware that's where I'm originally from, is Greensboro, North Carolina. This is mine. Look at it. You see my name's there. You see it's real. You see it's got a date stamp. And this is back in 2012 when I incorporated. And when I incorporated, I was just Tigress McDaniel Incorporated. So I knew that there were other, in my case, subsidiary concepts that I used, these other fictitious names. Well, there's no need for me to apply for separate EINs for them because I have one corporation. I don't want to be taxed for each subsidiary activity. I'm just going to do all my business in 1 year and file all of my profits under one return, under one corporate umbrella, and be done with it. That's when this would come into play, where you would actually file a certificate of assumed name use for those trademarks, those names that you would use that would be relevant to your business or how you would brand your business, identify your business. You see Queen Get Her Done, you see Eargasm Records, you see Passion Live, all those things. Okay. And it's normally only about, let's see. Yeah, and that's the EIN. I'm sorry, that one's upside down, but you'll notice that's the confirmation letter from the IRS. And you'll see there, Tigress McDaniel, In Pursuit of Happiness, all that good stuff. Let's see here. Actually, this is for the Social Security Administration. Actually, this is a good thing. We'll touch on this a different time. We won't go over this today because that goes into great detail. That has to do with your sales tax and withholding that you would have if you actually had employees. And again, if you are the employee for your business, then it's still relevant. So I need to report my income, which I do, to the Social Security Administration. And I have to report it to the North Carolina Department of Revenue. And I have to report it to the IRS. So this is the point that I'm making, guys. Wanting to start a business, and it is one of my pet peeves. I love people. I love people so much. I really do. But when they set up a Facebook page and they say, I'm in business, and that's all you've done, it is really, really disrespectful to the full seriousness and the gravity that goes along with running a legitimate business. Trust me, it's rewarding if you go through the process and become completely legitimized.